Okay, so it says we're live. And we'll just wait a second for some of people to join. Okay, we have some people hopping on, so we'll go ahead and get started. Hi everyone, it's Sunday afternoon. It's just before 2 o'clock on Sunday, January 25th, 2026. Meteorologist Olivia Glass here with Ray Coyato, who has been out all morning long tracking downed power lines, downed trees. Ray, where are you at right now? What is it looking like out there?
I'm here in Sail Creek now, just parked in the car. There's been a lot of down power lines. Every four, I've seen about like maybe 4 or 5 down power lines that have been here. There was one that even caught fire that knocked a whole neighborhood's power out. So I've just been talking to residents here in Sail Creek, and he talked to me about how unfortunately here in Sail Creek, not down power lines, but power outages have become more and more common to the point where many of them just put in the $10,000 for a generator just to be done with it. Unfortunately, there are some people who didn't make that decision and didn't have a generator, and they talked to me about having to throw away all their food, everything in their freezers ruined just because the power's
Yeah.
out. And right now, there's no exact ETA, at least from that they've been told, of when their power is going to be restored. So they're kind of just waiting in limbo until something gets fixed.
And that's concerning because temperatures overnight tonight are going to drop into the single digits. I'm from Michigan and I have been in multiple ice storms, and these ice storms by far are just the worst thing to deal with because all you hear are trees snapping, you're in a cold home and you're not sure when the power is going to go on. But we did also hear from an EPB spokesperson, correct? His name is Jed Marston. So we'll go ahead and play a little video from him for you right now. So, Ray, I'm going to go ahead and mute you. And then I'm going to take you off for just a second so we can listen to Mr.
About
Martson.
6,300
We'll pause that for a minute, remove Ray,
customers.
start this over.
As of midday on Sunday, we have about 6,300 customers who are experiencing power outages. We expect we've got crews that are actively working and expect to have about 75% of those restored over the next several hours. We're going to continue to work through the night and however long it takes to make sure everybody gets back on as quickly and safely as possible.
Great. And then is that using all the crews that you brought in from out of town, or how many do you guys have out working right now, if you know?
Yeah, so what we did leading into this situation, thanks to the great local forecasts, we had plenty of notice. And earlier this week, we began engaging crews from outside our system to make sure we had plenty of line workers on hand just in case there was a problem. It's interesting because I think at least early on, we all thought, Friday night, Saturday was going to be the big impact, and it definitely was for other areas, but we got lucky. What we've experienced overnight is the continuing rain with cold temperatures and a big accumulation of ice, both on power lines and on trees. And what happens is a half an inch of ice on a power line has a weight of about 500 pounds. So it can pull a power line down all on its own. And then, of course, when you add to that trees and branches that might also fall over power lines, starting very early this morning, we began to see a gradually and then more rapid accumulation of outages as just the continuing rain caused more and more weight to be on those lines and trees. So we've mostly seen outages in the higher elevations. We did stage crews, Lookout Mountain and Signal Mountain and other areas where we knew there was likely to be an impact, so they were ready to swing into action quickly. Our challenge over the course of the morning has been that it wasn't a single event. So we've continued to see damage to the infrastructure all morning long. We're at a point where that does seem to be stabilizing, and we have crews on almost all of the outages, or about 75% of the outages that we're going to need to repair, and we're looking good. We're just hoping the weather lets up on us a little bit, and that things remain stable so that we can catch up and get everybody restored as quickly as possible.
Besides Signal and Lookout, what area is seeing the most impact right now?
So there are areas like the north end of the system, Mowbray Mountain and Sale Creek. Those areas are also seeing outages. There's scattered outages throughout, and there are some on the south side of the system as well.
Great, Jed. Thanks so much for that update. And then if anything changes drastically throughout the day, we may get back in touch with you guys for another update.
Please do. Could I deliver one more message if it's
Sure. Yeah,
okay?
go ahead.
So we do want to emphasize that people use the My EPB app. It is absolutely the best way to find out what your estimated time of restoration is if you're out. It's also the best way to report an outage. So if you already have the free app, please use it. If you don't have it, download it. It is a great tool and one of the best ways to make sure you get individualized information for your situation.
And that was the latest update from EPB. We can go ahead now and look at current outages. This is the latest data from EPB's outage website. So I'll just go ahead and refresh the page. All right, yeah, so this number is back up to above 6,000, but as we heard, they are hoping to have at least 75% of these outages restored within the next couple of hours. All of the red dots that you're seeing, those are current outages reported. When you see the orange, that means they have a crew en route, and then the blue dots are indicating that that's where repairs are currently going on. So you kind of see a bullseye across, say, Signal Mountain up through Walden. That's what we just heard about. Lookout Mountain and through Georgia. That's where we're also seeing a lot of those outages occur too right now. So I'm going to go ahead and add Ray back in as well. So Ray, I'm just going to add you to the stage because I know you're still out. Do you have anything else to say about Sale Creek? How is the roads? Are the roads icy still or anything like that?
And the thing, the roads are, it's the flooding here is what I've seen. The roads aren't as icy as earlier in the day, but the main theme here is just a lot of power issues. It's unfortunately it's a real common occurrence in this neighborhood. A couple residents just came up to me talking to me about it, about how common these power issues are, but that with how common they are, EPB is up here a lot trying to fix them, but it's just a part of the neighborhood where that suffers from a lot of power outages.
Yeah, and there's a lot of moving parts to this forecast. And of course, as we heard, they'll be continuing to work to restore power as soon as possible. But another reason why we want everyone to stay off the roads is because of this, what you're seeing right here. You never know when you could come across a downed tree. This one was taken, I believe, this morning off of Signal Mountain Boulevard. So these trees could fall into the power lines as well. If you have 500 pounds on a power line, that same amount of weight will be on a tree too. So it's so important, again, to just stay home the rest of the day today if you are able to. Here's another picture. This one is, I believe, one that Katie took this morning. This one was in Walden that she was continuing to see trees fall. I remember during her live hits this morning in the 8 and 8:30, we could literally see trees falling behind her. So it's so important as well to not be driving just in case, God forbid, a tree does fall on a car that is driving. So that's why it's so important. And all morning long, we've been stressing to just stay home as long as you are able to. So Ray, any last words before we get into the forecast?
Just to reiterate what you said, stay off these roads because one wrong turn, one sharp turn, it's all over and you're in a wreck all of a sudden. So just stay off those roads. Be careful for trees. There have already been a couple of trees where I'm driving in a narrow road and I see it, and half the road's blocked because a tree's on the floor or on the street.
Yeah.
So just to reiterate what you say, to stay off the roads and hopefully things are situated better by Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah. All right, Ray. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and mute you again and then remove you from the studio. And just to kind of add to that, just make sure that if you come across a downed power line or a downed tree, you just make sure you're staying clear away from that because downed power lines are so dangerous. And as we know, EPB workers, energy workers are out assessing damage and getting everything up and running again as soon as they can. So let's get into the rest of the forecast now. This is current radar. Most of the heavier downpours are extending from, say, Chattanooga, northern Hamilton County, even north of Pikeville, south through, say, Lafayette at this point in time, even heavier downpours towards Rome and Calhoun. None of these are severe, but this is why we're still concerned for the threat of localized flash flooding throughout the rest of the day today. So I kind of wanted to take a look at some of the active alerts that we do have at this time. There's a lot of colors on here, so we'll go through them. The first I wanted to point out was a flood advisory for Bledsoe, Sequatchie, and Marion County. This actually looks like it has been extended to now end at 5 o'clock Eastern time. Low-lying areas, flood-prone locations, rivers, and creeks may rise very quickly. That's in that light green area again. Bledsoe, Sequatchie, and Marion County. We have additional flood warnings. So the difference between a warning and an advisory is that the warning means it's happening right now. Locations are currently flooding in Franklin, Jackson, and DeKalb County. The advisory just kind of means we want everyone to be on standby to watch out for flooding to occur. I do have some good news though. National Weather Service in Morristown has kind of lifted that ice storm warning for most of our Tennessee, North Carolina, and Georgia counties. It does remain in effect though for our higher elevations in northwestern Georgia. So this goes until tomorrow morning. This is because even though the rain, which we'll look at, should come to an end later on this evening, it'll ice over tomorrow morning because temperatures will be dropping down into the teens, even the single digits. So if you do have plans to be out early tomorrow morning, sidewalks could be very icy and the roads could be as well. Still have that winter storm warning out in pink here for Cumberland, Van Buren, and Grundy County, but most of the snowfall has come to an end. We're just tracking rain at this point. So the National Weather Service will allow that to expire, I'm sure, going into tonight. Here's a closer look at our radar. I should actually say a wider view of this system. It's still working its way across the north and east. Heavier bands of snowfall are falling through Pennsylvania, New York, even Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. Us locally across the Chattanooga area, we're still just dealing with rain. So that's helping limit the additional ice amounts at this point in time. But again, whatever moisture is left on the ground overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, that'll freeze. Fog has been quite a bit of an issue this morning, which I'm kind of surprised about just because it's been so windy. Usually when you have gustier winds, especially in higher elevations, that will kind of help mix in the atmosphere and kind of move the fog out. But we're still dealing with some stubborn fog that I would anticipate to stick with us through the rest of the day today. Visibility is down to 3 miles in Crossville, even down to 2 in Murphy, 4 in Chattanooga. So if you do have to venture out, it's not just the wet roads we're worrying about. It's not just the ponding on the roads from, again, isolated flash flooding, but it's also the reduced visibility. So that's why I say there's a lot of moving parts to the forecast for this winter storm. But temperatures locally, all of us for the most part are above freezing. A lot of us are in the 40s, which is some good news. But again, if you are in a higher elevation, your local temperature at your location could still be at or below freezing. It's 40 though in Chattanooga. Same goes for Dalton. 43 Cleveland, 48 in Murphy. Tellico Plains all morning long has actually been in the 50s. So they're down into the 30s now as cooler air starts to settle in behind the system. So that's a whole other part to the weather story because yes, we have the widespread showers, heavy downpours right now. Temperatures behind the system will be very, very cold. So we actually have cold weather advisories out for tonight and also Monday night as well. Feels like temperatures we'll take a look at, but they'll be down into the single digits and even below zero in some spots. So we'll walk through timing of the rest of the day today. This is around, you can follow along with me. This is around 3, 4 o'clock. Most of the rain exits east. So the rain will be ending from west to east again later on this afternoon and into the evening. Most of us should be dry though by dinner time or so. I wouldn't be surprised to see some lingering showers, but look at our temperatures by that point, dropping back into the 30s. Look how fast the plateau is cooling off down into the 20s. So that's why I say whatever moisture is left on the ground overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning, that will more than likely freeze. Clouds will stick with us into tonight. And then waking up tomorrow morning, yeah, teens is what we could wake up to, factoring in that northwesterly breeze. Feels like temps tomorrow morning could be in the single digits. I also wouldn't be surprised to see some lingering flurries tomorrow morning. Generally, when you have a lot of rainfall the day before, very cold, dry air on the backside of a system, that will kind of wring out any leftover moisture in the atmosphere. So again, there could be some flurries tomorrow morning. Don't be surprised if you do see some of those. High temperatures tomorrow, they'll struggle to make it to 30 degrees. So consider today a quote unquote more mild day, because temperatures tomorrow, they'll be very, very cold, but we should be mainly dry tomorrow evening. An even colder morning is in store for us for Tuesday morning. Single digits along the plateau. Mainly everyone on the map will be down into the single digits, but again, factoring in that breeze, that will put these single digits below zero in terms of feels like temps. High temperatures for Tuesday, they'll rebound back into the 30s, still chilly, but much better than what we'll see Tuesday morning. So we'll go ahead and look at feels like temps now. I kind of just told you a little bit about this, but to put some numbers to what I was talking about. This is tomorrow around lunchtime. At that point, although temperatures will be back up into, say, the 20s, it'll still feel like the single digits in the teens. Look at Pikeville. Could potentially feel like 0 degrees at lunch tomorrow. So very, very cold air is what we have in the next couple of days. Feels like temps Tuesday morning, again, below 0 will be possible for highest elevations, even single digits in the valley. So very, very cold air is what we then have to worry about. Tuesday morning, mid-morning, still dealing with feels like temperatures in the single digits. So stay bundled up over the next several days. We'll look ahead to the 7-day forecast. No big warm-up is on the way. Temperatures will remain about 20 degrees, 10 to 20 degrees, I should say, below average through at least Saturday. So we're weather alerts, of course, today because of the showers, the freezing rain this morning, the gustier winds. That's another concern. It's breezy out right now, so adding more moisture to those trees down power lines, that could potentially knock down more lines and trees. So that's another concern for the rest of the day today. Tomorrow and Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday, we're weather alert just because of the bitter cold temperatures. Wednesday, we should be back up towards 40, but still, we'll be flirting with 40 degrees throughout the weekend, but we should be mainly dry for the rest of the week. So that is something that we can count on, at least at this point in time. But make sure to stay bundled up the next couple of days. I was looking at some ice reports so far, and I think our hardest hit locations and higher elevations received anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch of ice. So that is a lot of ice that we're continuing to see out this Sunday afternoon. If you do have any pictures you want to send to us safely, submit them to our Tryman page. We're all about looking to see what's across the area, what everyone's dealing with still this Sunday afternoon. So stay safe out there. We'll be doing more updates throughout the rest of the day today. And of course, we have our live shows at 6, 10, and 11 o'clock tonight. So until then, stay safe, and we will talk to you very soon.